S.H.FIGUARTS Dragon Ball Super Superhero Piccolo was released on the 23rd of April as a regular over-the-counter release and is the first figure from the wave of superhero movie figures, which at this point includes Goku for next month, Vegeta, and Ultimate Gohan. As per usual, I pre-ordered Piccolo through my local retailer here in Japan, but Piccolo should start rolling out this week for all your usual online retailers. I don't know about you guys, but for me, it's felt like forever waiting for these superhero movie figures to release. I'm sure it has a lot to do with the hype and excitement, and I guess delay of the whole movie that has really kind of built up this anticipation. Yes, it is disappointing having to wait even longer now for the movie's release, but I guess at least we have the figures to kind of, tie us over in the meantime. And I'm glad Tamashii started with Piccolo, with the larger role that he'll be playing in the movie, as well as having a new power-up. I'm more than happy with Tamashii showing Piccolo some much deserved love. So the figure itself at first glance looks like a slight repaint of Piccolo 2.0, but there is actually a lot of newly sculpted parts. In fact, I'd say about 80 to 90% of the figure is new, with the only reuse being the crotch and the upper half of the legs for this figure. I'm really happy that Tamashii have given us brand new head sculpts, which have a slight stylistic difference to the previous sculpts we got with Piccolo 2.0. No more pink lips, which honestly didn't bother me all that too much, but I'm sure some will be relieved to see that he's, all green this time. The difference between the two Piccolo head styles is subtle, but you can definitely tell one from the other. Piccolo 2.0 works great as an earlier Saiyan Namek Saga Piccolo, whilst this version is obviously tailored to how he appears in the superhero movie, but I think you could also use him as a Cell Saga or Buu Saga Piccolo for your display. The heads are interchangeable, so you could definitely mix and match, to get the look you want for your own collection. I think the biggest difference with Piccolo's design this time around is with the coloration of his arms. For some reason, the new movie has gone back to the original color scheme as Piccolo appeared in the manga. Some like it, some don't. I'm cool with it, and it's a pretty easy repaint if you have the skills, but for me, I'll be keeping it as it is. And it's not just the color scheme, but his entire arms have been resculpted. The shoulders are different, the forearms are different, the yellow areas on his forearms are actually, on the inside now rather than facing outward. Speaking of manga color scheme, Piccolo's belt is red this time around, but actually turns black when he powers up to his new awakened form. I guess that's why Gohan's belt is black instead of red with his figure too. We get a deeper V cut for his gi that shows a little bit more chest. You can see a little bit of red detail there right at the bottom. The folds and creases lay different as well. Even the lower half of his pants are baggier than the 2.0 version. Finally, we get the ever controversial rounded shoes, which do actually match the designs from the movie. I know some people aren't happy with this aspect of Piccolo's design, but it is what it is, and it doesn't actually look too bad in person. But if the shoes are something that really bother you, you can actually use the shoes from Piccolo 2.0. All you need to do is pop those shoes off and replace them onto the superhero Piccolo figure. The pegs and the ball joints are the same, so they'll fit perfectly, and you can pretty much, like the head sculpts, mix and match to make a Piccolo of your own preference. Again, this really doesn't bother me, but I do in fact like this look a lot. The shoes, the pointy shoes on the 2.0 Piccolo figure actually look really good on this new superhero Piccolo figure. Again, some might not like the new changes, but I gotta give props to Tamashii for going that extra mile and essentially give us a brand new Piccolo figure, which they could have easily repainted the 2.0 and called it a day. Nice work, Tamashii. Gotta give props where props are deserved. Alright, so let's run through the articulation for Piccolo Superhero.
hero. So if you have the Piccolo 2.0 figure, you'll be pretty familiar with how this guy moves. The only addition, or the only new pieces, I guess, to this sculpt is these shoulder pieces here. But other than that, it's pretty much the same figure. So looking at the head sculpt, Piccolo does move his head up that much, and he can bury his head really far into his chest, almost, actually his chin is touching his chest there. So really good range of movement there. You get tilt, really good tilt, and of course side to side rotation. As per usual, the head and the neck joint are independent pieces, so you're going to get, really good range of movement there in his head and neck. So going to the shoulders, these move like the traditional shoulder pieces of any Dragon Ball Figuarts figure. I didn't have any QC issues with this figure, but this was the only thing that I guess Tamashii kind of slipped up on. I mean, the paint was perfect, the joints were all tight, felt really good, but if you can see here, the left shoulder piece here is actually the same. I've got two left shoulder pieces, so when you have Piccolo, straight up in a vanilla pose like this, it's supposed to sit flush. It's supposed to curve right here and sit flush with his shoulder, but you can see here there's a gap, and that's because this piece here is a left piece, which it should be a right piece, and that's why you've got that little gap there. So that's a shame, but yeah, that's my only QC issue with this figure. So anyway, going back to the articulation, Piccolo does move his shoulder out that much. You get 360 rotation. He has really good butterfly joints, and his butterfly joint is the same color as his skin. You get a bit of sculpted in detail there, so he can move his arms way into his chest right there, so he can cross his arms really well. That's really nice. You have your upper bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, and of course your swivels and hinges there at the wrist. So Piccolo has really good torso articulation, and you can kind of like extend it up to get that extra bit of crunch, like so. Bit of a gap there at the back. There is a side to side swivel there at the upper torso, but you can also get the side to side there at the waist as well. But yeah, really good range of movement there at the torso. The legs are the old 2.0 crotch setup here, so Piccolo can kick, out, back and forward the full 180 degrees, full splits side to side as well. Excellent range of motion, movement. You get the upper thigh swivel, upper thigh cut there, the double jointed knees, swivel there at the boot. Not too far down, not too far up. Not the best ankle pivot there, because this is kind of the old setup for the ankles. And yeah, you do get toe articulation as well. So all in all, pretty good articulation. Again, we have the old setup for the legs, for the ankles here. If Tamashii can somehow figure out how to do give Piccolo any future Namekian figures that newer articulation that we see on Super Saiyan 4, that would make this Piccolo figure, or any future Piccolo figures or Namekian figures, perfect, in my opinion. So, all in all, some really good articulation. A lot of fun with this figure.
Piccolo is a bit lean when it comes to accessories, but I think at this price point we get enough for a pretty satisfying release. That, and you can use the accessories from the Piccolo 2.0 figure to substitute what's lacking, which, would be the cape and the hatted heads. As I mentioned earlier, head swaps aren't a problem, but they've also included a back piece, a back plate piece that detaches to reveal the same peg holes as Piccolo 2.0 to mount his cape. The cross forearms won't actually work this time around, unfortunately, but even without this accessory, you still get a very decent looking full costumed Piccolo. For hands, we get 2 fists, 2 open palm hands, 2 curled finger fighting pose hands, and 1 special beam cannon hand. The sculpts appear to be the same, but we get black fingernails this time around as opposed to the white fingernails on Piccolo 2.0. For heads, we get 3 in total, including a shouting face, a teeth gritting face, and my favorite, a smirking face. I mentioned earlier about the low price point Tamashii have set for these Wave of 4 initial superhero figures, which is great for us collectors, but it really goes to show how much Tamashii can really achieve at a reasonable price point. Sure, we don't get as many accessories, and for some there isn't enough of a difference to warrant another Piccolo purchase, but all things considered, this figure is 80 to 90% new. Again, Tamashii could have easily given us just another repaint or slight retool with this figure like they're mostly doing with Goku and Vegeta, but I really feel that this time Tamashii are showing this character, Piccolo, one of my favorite characters, some much deserved love. Gohan looks like he'll also be given the same treatment, and I think these 2 figures will be the highlights out of the 4. Don't get me wrong, I'm still really looking forward to Goku and Vegeta, but for me, Superhero Piccolo is just a great all-round release and well worth the $35 or $38, whatever Tamashii are asking. Even if you have the 2.0 version of Piccolo, this superhero version is just as fun, and if you appreciate the minor details, you'll definitely enjoy this figure as well. I'd really love to see more Namekians in the future. So Tamashii, keep them coming, and at this price point, please. And that's it from me. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you liked the new setup. It's still all kind of new to me, and I'll be slowly making small updates to the channel itself. New logo, hopefully, maybe. I guess some updates to the actual video reviews itself, like the transitions, just small things like that. Again, I really want to start spending more time with the channel, engaging you guys, giving you guys more content. But we'll see how things go from here. Anyway, thanks for dropping by. I'll be back with the Zarbon review very soon. Take good care of yourselves out there, and as always, yoroshiku!